Hello, this is Angela Anderson. Thanks for joining me for this acrylic painting tutorial. In this video, I'm going to be showing you how to paint this simple seaside sunset with a palm tree. It's going to be a lot of fun, and I'll show you step by step how to do it from start to finish. Got my husband Mark with me.
Hey there, everybody.
He's man in chat tonight, so if you've got questions while I'm painting, you can ask those, and I'll try to answer. Let's get started. Yay, love our new intro. That's really fun. That debuted last week, if you missed it. So I'm going to be using a 9x12 inch canvas board. This is from Fredrix. They're our canvas sponsor, so thank you to them. These are really nice because they're all prepped and ready to go. You don't have to do anything to them. And our brush sponsor is Princeton. We're going to be using a large flat of some sort. So this is the Summit Series 12 Bright. You're going to want that for your sky area, and then for your clouds you're going to want some sort of a either a Deerfoot Stippler or a blender of some sort of stiff bristled brush that you can do your clouds with. These are the VelvetTouch in the red handles and the Select line from Princeton in the blue. And then I'm going to my 3/8 inch and 1/4 inch angles and a liner brush. And I think that should do for most of what we need. I might grab, I think I'll grab a Filbert also just for some of the waves possibly. So 6 Filbert, long handled. And you're probably going to want like a ruler and possibly a pencil. Woo, that one flying. A watercolor pencil, possibly some tape. So something like that to tape off our water line. So that's the first thing we want to do is just draw in our water line. It's going to be, if you find your halfway mark, just come down about an inch or so. I'm going to go across there with the red line. I try to choose a color that is close to the color that we're going to end up with in our sky. So that's going to match up and it'll bleed out and blend into our sky. And that's really just about all I'm going to do. I'm going to have my water line is going to come at a slight angle. So it's going to come up here and almost split this in half. So it's going to be pretty close to the edge, maybe a little higher right here. And then once it gets up here, it's going to be almost halfway. So somewhere in here, and you can do another line if you want to for the highlight part. And then our tree is going to be in here, but we're going to draw it in after we do our sky and everything. So that's about all I'm going to do. If you want to, you can, I will have a traceable for this that has the clouds and everything as well. And when you do it on yours, I would choose like a red or a yellow or something that's a little bit lighter so that it's not too hard to paint over it. Like I wouldn't do it in black necessarily.
Okay, you are leaving me like no open air time for me to do my sweet guitar riffs. So we're going to have to work this out.
Okay, sorry. Wow, wow, wow. We've been watching too much of Ink Master. Every little thing they say is wah wah. It's got a little sound effect, electric guitar. Marcus, yeah. All right.
Yeah. Okay, go on.
We're not that kind of show. All right, let's go. I'm going to start on the sky, and then we'll do the water while the sky dries and go back and forth between the two. So I'm going to just start it with my lightest colors in the sky, which is going to be the yellows and white. So I'm going to start really low here. Grab my brightest yellow. This is the, let's go over our colors. I didn't do that, did I?
Ooh, no.
Carbon black, and this is the fluid black. Burnt sienna, cadmium orange, Indian yellow hue, cadmium yellow light, phthalo blue, green shade, Dioxazine purple, and Quinacridone Magenta. So fairly limited palette today. And then titanium white and unbleached, or no, not unbleached titanium, glazing liquid, glass glazing liquid. I'm already in my art brain, solidly in the art brain. Just jumping right in here. Still, I can't talk yet. Can't talk. All right, here I go. I'm going to just put it on fairly, not too watery, but fairly thick. I've thinned out the by thick I mean fairly saturated on my brush. So I've thinned it out a little bit just so it'll flow on the canvas. And I am going to go ahead and just spray the canvas once with water, and that just will open up the pores of the canvas a little bit for us and make this flow on a little bit easier. So I'm just going to go across. Look how nice that goes on. I have a little bit of water on the canvas, and my brush, those heavy body acrylics can be kind of thick and sticky. So if I thin them down a little bit, they will go on a lot smoother. All right, put that on, wipe my brush off, get a good gob of white here. I'm just going to use the white right above that. I haven't cleaned this yellow out of my brush, so you can see it's kind of creating some streaks, and that's totally fine. Wipe that off. And this time I'm going to get a little bit of water and try to really kind of clean it a little bit. And if you've got another brush, you could grab another brush at this point. Instead of having to stop to clean your brush out. It'll go a little faster for you. But I've got it mostly clean there. So I'm going to go back in with my white. And the white is fairly thick, so I'm going to get a little bit of water with it. Go across and pull down into my yellow and just go across it until I get a nice smooth blend there. And then I am going to add some other colors at the very bottom, but not right now. I'm going to wait. So let's go ahead and grab our blue. That's the Phthalo blue and my white. So I'm going to go probably 3 parts white to 1 part blue, if that. Something like that. Nice pretty blue. And just go across up here. Again, add a little bit of water to it so that it goes on smoothly. Really, especially if you've got like a more textured canvas. This one is pretty smooth, but if you've got a really textured canvas, you may have to add a little bit more water to get it down into the cracks and crevices of the canvas. So as they meet here, I'm gonna stop right about there where that white line starts, and then grab my white. And most of that blue is out of my brush. If it wasn't, I would wipe off my blue and get the white. And then I'm going to go over, just over the top of where the two meet here, back and forth. And then just do a long sweep. So I kind of work that color in back and forth first, and then just do a long sweep to kind of blend it out into it. Okay, that looks good. And I've got some bleed over right here. So what I'm going to do is, while that paint is still wet, I'm just going to get a clean brush, just dry, and just kind of go over that area. And what I'll do, kind of pick up that extra paint. And there we go. So now we've got a nice smooth blend from the yellow up into our blue. And I'm going to go ahead and just leave that. I'm not going to mess with it and let it dry completely before I try to add my reds and things in there, because I've got a lot of other colors to do. All right, so let's do, while that's drying, let's go ahead and do the water. So I'm going to get the Phthalo blue and some purple, a little bit of purple, and a little bit of the burnt sienna. And the burnt sienna is just going to kind of tone it down, make it a little bit more of a natural blue, purple, gray color. And add a little bit of white to it so we can see what it looks like. That looks pretty good. I'm going to add a little bit more of the burnt sienna. And you can check your value too against the photograph. Sometimes, like when a really dark color is up against a lighter color or a mid-tone color, it'll look darker than it really is. So you might check that and just see, because sometimes these colors that look really dark up against yellow will actually not be that dark at all. So that looks pretty close to what I'm seeing, I think. Might even go just a slight bit lighter and add just a little bit of magenta. I feel like it has to have a little bit of pink in it. There we go. Okay, so now if you wanted to, you could wait to do this and put your purple in once you get your sky in there, but if I use the edge of my brush here and kind of just run it sideways, I can get kind of a straight line. The main thing is you want this horizon line on your water to be completely straight on water. So using that tape can be really helpful for this. So you could let your sky completely dry out and then add your water to this bottom edge. Okay, so I'm added a little bit of the Quinacridone Magenta, and I'm just slowly working that across. Okay, that's good. Magenta in the middle, kind of where the sun's going to be. Okay. I'll add lighter colors to it, but all right, then I'm just going to use it kind of side by side, side to side, not side by side, side to side, and leave a little bit in the middle here that's open so that I can put my yellow. So in fact, it's actually going to be right over here. I don't know why I'm doing it right there, because it's really going to be like right in here. So I covered that up completely. Do what I say, not as I do here.
It won't be the first time you cover up the sun.
True. True that. That is a theme. Yes, it is. Oh, I got a little bit of my yellow.
Oh.
Okay. So if that happens, I can try to get it off. Probably risking wiping my yellow off at this point, because my yellow's still a little bit wet. But
this is where a sweet guitar riff would come in.
Get up.
We would go to commercial break right now.
And come back.
And then come back and
see if she can fix it.
Recap and see if we could fix it.
Okay. We're just going to have to fix it later. I got a little too happy with my side to side here. Brush kicked out into the sky.
I hate when that happens.
I know. You hate when your brush kicks out into the sky.
Yeah. I mean, it's a rough day.
Right. Getting some orange and a little bit more magenta. And down here, the sky is much more of this orangey color. And I'm going to get some of that sky blue. I'm going to spray all this so that it stays wet for me. Just spraying it with plain old water. Getting some of that sky blue. And I'm going to put it down over here on my side. And across where my water line is going to be. Okay, that's good.
The camera's kind of off to the left. Is there any way to...
I can push it this way.
Okay.
Center it. There we go.
Better. Okay. Perfect. I couldn't zoom out too much more. So.
Oh, okay. All right, getting some more of that lighter yellow, a lighter pink color. And I'm just going to create some kind of wave-like motion here, and it's going to be very fine, very thin back here, so these are going to be, this brush is too big. I'll just have to, I'm going to start it, but I need to switch brushes. Because I need those areas there to be darker on this corner. And all this stuff back here should be very thin and close together. And then as it gets closer to us, we're going to increase the size of these waves until they come down here. They're going to be larger. All right, so that looks good. So I left a little bit of that dark, the first dark, showing through. We're gonna add a lot more of the yellows and colors to this, but that'll be a good place to start. I've got a hair right here. Okay, if you get a hair in there, if you can catch it right after it dries, you can usually kind of just brush it off instead of doing it while the paint's wet. So that's going to have to be fixed. But this sky is mostly dry here. So let's go ahead and put in a little bit of this shoreline, and then we should be able to start on our in the sky there.
I think you just put that spot behind the palm tree and be done.
Put the palm tree in front of it.
Yeah.
You could try. You could try. I don't think that would quite work, but it's too far up. It's close though. Yeah, it's a good idea.
Thanks.
All right, so I'm going to use burnt sienna and Quinacridone Magenta and just a tiny bit of the purple for my seashore here. Very warm, beachy color. And, you know, if you were doing this in daylight, obviously this would be, you know, lighter. It would be sand color, you know, like tans and things. But because of the light source, because it's getting dark and things are picking up, this light color is picking up that gold from the sky. So the light sand color is going to be tinted with the golds and oranges and yellows from the sky. And it's going to turn it this kind of dark burgundy red color like we see in our photograph. And then over here it's a little bit even darker because the sunlight's over here, so this side is a little bit darker. I'm going to bring this up just a little bit. And just go right up to my water line. I'm not really worried too much about where they meet at this point because we're going to be adding other colors to it. So I'm just trying to get it on there fairly dark and smooth. All right, so that's probably going to even need to be darker, but it's a good place to start. All right, so let's go ahead and where these two meet, I'm going to get my white and just a little bit of the purple color that was in my water, and I'm just going to kind of line out this shoreline where the two of them meet. It's eventually going to have some yellows added and things like that too, but it'll be like that. And then I can use some of this color kind of in my water too. All right, just like that. And I think I can go ahead. I'm going to try to get in some of this yellow right in here. I'll figure out where my sunlight's coming from. So this sun, let's get my white here. My sun is going to be right here, say. Let's just go ahead and put it right there. And really it's going to be kind of bleeding out, so we're not going to see it like a ball too much. There's going to be a little bit right there, but then I'm going to dab in my water. Really bright here. Right down from that. Okay. Then let's go ahead and use a little bit of that pink with my yellow that we just used. And I'm going to go on either side of this pink, this yellow with this pinkish color and just draw out that color on either side of my sun. And this purple is dry enough now that it's covering, so it's fine. If the purple wasn't quite dry, you just have to wait for it to dry. Or you could leave this area white and do this in your white area too. So it's just up to you. And I'm going to go ahead and kind of highlight the top of the waves here. We're going to come back in and add some darker purples for our shadows and our waves and things. So our first color was kind of the mid-tone color that we start with. Okay, that looks pretty good. Some of that yellow and pink color comes out pretty far. And always kind of going in this side to side motion here. Let's go ahead and get a little bit of the orange and the yellow. And I'm going to go in and on either side of this, just do some zigzag lines with the brighter yellow, orange color.
Someone would like to know, is this a dry brush?
No, it's wet. It's wet. This paint's wet. All right, so that's good. Let's go ahead and use this orangey color. I'm going to add a little bit of the magenta to this orange, so it's slightly pink. And really need to dry that. I'm going to have to wait. So let's go ahead and just work in our clouds, and then we'll tape this off once this yellow dries, so that we can do the rest of our sky. So, all right, let me switch to a brush for the clouds. So this will be my 3/8 inch Willows blender. I'm going to get this pink magenta color. Magenta, white, and some little bit of an orange or yellow or both. So just a little bit to make it kind of a peachy color, but this pink is going to be on the underside of all of our clouds here, so up in our sky. So I'm just going to use this to kind of map out. And I'm going fairly thick with this, because otherwise it's not going to cover this blue. So let's kind of just go back and forth here. This is Candy Bubblegum Pink color. We'll darken it up here, but I'm just going to kind of start with this mid-tone color. And as we get to the edges where, they're going to meet the other colors, I just want to kind of fluff it out. So you can kind of just tap and in a little circular motion to get it a little bit more fuzzy. And if you have enough paint on your brush, it will it'll fuzz it out a little bit. Like it'll be thick enough that you can just kind of push it around. All right, and most of this is going to be behind our clouds, so I'm not really seeing much of the color back here, but I'm just going to go ahead and continue this all the way down here. Just some random cloud shapes. These are kind of going at kind of at an angle this way. So, and the main thing with clouds that you want to remember is they're going to get smaller as they go towards the horizon line. So this is the farthest point for us, right? So everything coming this way is going to get larger, and everything going this way is going to get larger. So right here, everything that's getting closer to the horizon line is getting farther and farther away from us and smaller. So our clouds that are right on the horizon line are going to be small, and then the ones at the very top of the canvas are going to be big. What are you laughing at?
Oh, I made the comment that there for a moment when you were painting in that cloud at first, it kind of looked like a silhouette of Mickey Mouse. And then Sonic Hedgehog. And now people are like, well, that's all we can see now. Thanks. So you're welcome.
Yeah, Mark is good for that.
And by the way, all the leaves are brown.
Oh, God. Don't. I get so many comments about the annoying guy in the background of this video.
And that's just from the artist.
Exactly. All right, getting some yellow here. Through here, I'm just putting this on fairly thick because I want to go fast on this. So this is a Tuesday night video. We can't spend a ton of time on this. Mark needs to go to bed by 9, so we got a deadline. He's got to be up at 4 a.m. So can't be playing around with this stuff. We gotta get it done. Okay, really pretty. All right, let's keep on going over here. So we got this bubblegum cloud all through here, this whole area. A little bit darker right in there, and then it starts again right here. Just make sure that you're leaving your blue sky where it needs to be left. So that's the main thing. Let's get some more of this yellow right in here. There's this orangey. In fact, I'll get a little bit of the orange right in here. And these clouds are a little bit more like, not solid, but the undersides of these really are kind of just solid. You know, it's not like some other clouds where, you know, you can kind of almost not see through them, but, you know, they're wispier. These ones are fairly solid color. They've got a really dramatic like border between this and the blue sky. So that's what makes it really dynamic. So don't be afraid to go fairly dark with these. And thick. Normally I would say don't go too thick with the clouds, but as long as you kind of keep these borders like soft and wispy, then you're okay. So I'm still, even though I'm going kind of thick in the middle, I'm still wisping out the edges where it meets the blue somewhat. That's what'll keep it look kind of soft and cloud-like. Some yellow here, tapping it along the top edge there. It's got some sunlight peeking through, and if it's not showing up, you add a little bit of white to your yellow. There we go. And then down here, this is all fairly light yellow underneath this cloud. Getting some of the pink and kind of meeting it up with that yellow. And again, I'm using a fairly good amount of paint on my brush, but I am, like, as I'm getting along these edges, I'm just barely touching it. And because I have enough paint on my brush, it's coming off and without me having to press down too hard, which is allowing me to get those wispy edges that I want. You could also dry brush to get that same or similar effect. So it's another way of approaching it. You could dry brush these. All right, so that color is way too green because I had that yellow in my brush. So I'm going to have to clean that out really well to make my purple. And get the blue and the purple and more white. And I need to Got more white. Already out.
So hello to everybody.
Yes.
It's the first show in September.
It is.
And since it's September, I'll pitch patreon.com/AngelaFineArt. You can sign up, get the whole month. And we got our bonus video this Sunday.
Do we?
Yes, the 12th. So you better be ready.
Okay, I will.
Right.
We're painting sunflowers. Ooh, speaking of, I'm probably going to add some of my sunflowers.
Yeah, don't spill water on.
All right, here we go. Yeah, don't spill water on this. I need to move these so you can see my sunflowers. Look at those colors.
That's pretty
Aren't they
cool.
Beautiful. The burgundy, orangey with the yellow, the kind of pinkish ones. These are kind of starting to look a little sad because they've been out in a jar for a couple days. The lemony yellow, and then this one is my favorite because it's definitely pink. It's got pink in the... Anyhow, we planted
cool.
like about 6 or 7 different varieties. I don't even know, but they're all blooming up right now. Finally, we planted them really late in the year for our zone here. We're in zone 7 in the U.S. But we're getting nice fall sunflowers. So all the rest of the flowers are looking really sad. My zinnias and everything are looking really sad, but the sunflowers are starting to really bloom up and beautifully. And my cosmos got chopped down because they were all dying and dead looking. So it's fun. We've got raised beds, and we've got the sunflowers along the back fence. And it's really pretty backdrop, that fence with the sunflowers back there. Really nice little, making for some nice photos. So I'm hoping we'll get to paint some of the photos I'm taking later on this year. Maybe this year, maybe next, who knows. But taking the photos just to have them.
Of course.
Lots of bees and butterflies and all kinds of stuff visiting.
Next year there will be more bees.
Yeah, I planted a lot of those. Well, either that or I don't know. Maybe the bees aren't coming this far.
We'll see. Yeah,
I don't know because
we'll let them go.
They are looking like there's pollen on some of those. So I thought that maybe they were pollenless sunflowers because we haven't had as many bees as I thought we would have. But I've had the big bumblebees. They're really cute. All right, adding purple here. Now I'm talking about this and not telling you, talking about sunflowers. So adding the purple and magenta with my white here. And just different tones, some darker, some lighter. And some of them I want to be fairly dark, so I'm going to get a little bit more of that magenta and a little bit of blue even.
Hey,
I'm sorry, not magenta, purple. Mm-hmm.
When you got a quick second, can you show your paint opener tool thing there?
Yeah.
So they're finally back in stock somewhere?
They are. I got these from Blick. It took me like several months. I broke mine and so I ordered 2. So now I have a backup. But yeah, they're from Golden. They're called a gripper, but they're spelled without an E. Grip, Gripr.
Thank you.
Yep. You're welcome. I think I have them in my Amazon shop. If I don't, then you can get them on the Blick through the Blick link down in the description. And if you, all the materials that we use, I always list down in the description. I list the main brushes that I use most often, so they're not always exactly what I've used for that video, but on the Brush Guys website, there's a link to thebrushguys.com, and on their website I have different sets of brushes for intermediates and beginners, and that have all of the brushes that I use the most in my videos. So, and they're actually a really good price. They're discounted quite a bit. He already has them at a fairly good price, and then he discounts the sets even more. So, anyhow, coming up on Christmas ideas, you can maybe put that as something if you're interested. If you're wanting some new brushes, Princeton, in my opinion, has the best brushes out there. I was already using them when we partnered up for my videos. In fact, I contacted them because I was using them so much. I was like, hey. And they've been a great sponsor for our channel. They don't pay me, but I use their stuff, so, because I like it. They send me, and they are the ones that sent me this, like the brush that I'm using now, because I told them the kind of paint that I do. You know, they watched my videos and checked it out, and I was like, you know, if you've got any products that you think I would like, go ahead and send them. And they sent me this brush, and it's definitely, it made as soon as I started using it, I was like, okay, that's going on my forever list. So right. It's a great little brush for blending. It's called the Blender, and it's like a synthetic hog bristle almost, you know, so it's got that kind of stiffness like a hog bristle, but the shape of the filbert and the flatness that like allows you to kind of get in here and get some of these details in. So I really like them.
Yeah, and they also are overwhelming supporters when we do giveaways and things like that.
Oh yeah,
so
yep, they are.
They and Fredrix both are more than generous when it comes to
absolutely
giving back to the
Fredrix, Princeton,
the
and
fans.
yep, we just did a giveaway for our 300,000 subscriber milestone, and both Fredrix and Princeton gave away several sets of things to our subscribers, so they're really great. Highly recommend them. It's nice to have a relationship with these brands that I have used and admired for years. I feel very blessed. Very, very blessed. It's pretty cool.
I mean, I've used C's candies for years, decades.
I know, you should contact them and see.
Wonder if they would.
Hint, hint.
I need energy for the show.
I'm using more of the blue and purple together with that pink down here. So, yeah, I don't know. You can
all right.
Never know.
I'll reach out to him to see what happens.
There you go. They might send you some free. I didn't even do it on purpose, but when I mentioned my favorite tea, they sent me some free tea. So,
well, a fan.
Thank you.
A fan
they ran out of the tea that I had mentioned, so they were like, "Here, thank you." Yeah, one of the fans told them that they had mentioned. Yeah, that was really cool. All right, using some of the lighter now, and just going back in and adding these brilliant highlights. So, all of the edges of these clouds are kind of lined with this really bright backlit cloud. And I'm using the white, but it's really, it'll tone down once it dries. The white is going to kind of bleed into these other colors, so it won't look white once it starts to dry. Yeah, that's bleeding into the pink right there.
We have a question.
Okay.
I would like to know if you would know why does their paint on their clouds go on smoothly, but cheap canvas is different for layering. I'm not sure I fully understand the question.
Yeah, I'm not either. No.
So I should read it all first,
maybe,
and then ask.
Maybe clarify.
Yeah.
But yes, the cheaper canvases will be harder to are they saying that when they go to put their second coat on, it doesn't go on smoothly or something? I'm not really sure.
I'll let you know if I get a clarification.
Okay.
Sorry.
Nope, that's all right. All right, so going with the more brilliant magenta here, and I'm just going to go into some of these clouds with that and add just a little bit of the more brilliant magenta around the edges. And really I just want to kind of blend these colors together. So if you've got any areas where the colors kind of just look really abrupt or kind of odd, just kind of go in and sort of smooth them out. And the way that you can kind of blend two of these areas together, so if I say, you know, that I don't really like the way this white is setting on top of here and it doesn't look like it's blending in with that purple, then I grab some of that purple and I just go above where I want it to blend and kind of put a little bit of that fresh color down, and then I pull a little bit of that white color or the pink or whatever it was and put some fresh color there, and then wipe my brush, and then there's fresh paint now on both sides, and then I can just kind of use this brush to tap out and pull those two colors together along that line. I didn't overlap them at all. I just went right up to the one color over the other, and look how much more soft that is now. So that's what you do. Any of these areas that you feel like, you know, they just don't look great. Now you may not get the exact same color, and that's okay too. You know, like you don't have, I didn't blend the exact same pink there. It's all about layering with acrylics. So don't feel like you have to have the exact same colors every time. But what I am doing is keeping these paints fresh. So I'm spraying these areas so that I can come back in if maybe, you know, I need a little bit more of this pink, and I'm blending a little bit more than I think I need right then, because I know that I may need it later and I need to come back and get a little bit more. So I'm not blending a ton of paint, but I am blending a little bit extra than I need so that I can come back in and add it and blend things out and add other colors and do things like that.
Okay, they don't want you to forget about your brushes in the water.
Oh, thank you.
And then somebody would like to know, could they use any brush to do clouds? Yes, it'll just look a little different. So just, you know, depending on the brush or the brush that you use, you may get a little bit different effect, but it's going to be, you might get a little bit more thicker, you know, more painterly looking clouds if you use like a Filbert or something like that. You know, they may not be as soft and wispy. If you use a brush that's got a little bit of a stiffer bristle, like the one that I'm using, you'll be able to kind of tap in a little bit of texture. And I think texture is the thing that really makes the clouds look good, is this kind of soft texture that you can get at the top of some of them. Okay, so I need to move on here because I'm already almost an hour in here and I still haven't done a whole lot. So for me, I think it's based upon your method and the way you go about doing it. You've found certain brushes fit your style,
right,
for doing clouds, and I'm sure there's other artists out there that have a little bit different styles that may use different brushes.
Right.
So
right, yeah. So it just depends on
what you're comfortable with.
Yeah, what your style
like.
is. Absolutely. Good way of putting it.
Thank you. You're my style.
Ditto.
Yeah.
Has been for how many years now?
Let's see. We're coming up on 36 years.
Really? Our first date, September 13th. Right?
So close. So
14th.
close.
14th.
There you go.
Yeah, that's right, because our anniversary is always half-year anniversary is always on Valentine's Day.
Yeah, there you go.
Sorry, it took me a minute.
I'll forgive you because you're painting.
Yeah.
But she doesn't.
I'm working with 25% of my brain right now.
But she normally doesn't remember anybody, so.
I do. I know I don't. I really don't. Mark's better about remembering our first date anniversary every year. All right, so getting some of this magenta that I mixed before, and I grabbed some yellow, and I'm just going to go right along that line there and just brighten up right along the horizon line with that orange.
Somebody said they cannot get the white glaze. So is there something they could use instead?
White glaze. This
Like
glaze?
the glazing liquid.
Glazing liquid. They could use water. Water would probably be my first choice. You just have to be careful how much water you're adding if you're using heavy body acrylics. So you can use water. You can use like a medium, like they have fluid. Medium Golden's got like a airbrush medium that you could use. That's the same consistency as water, and that works. I'm trying to think. The reason I like the golden glazing medium is because it has the extender in it, and not all glazing mediums do. And most glazing mediums that I've used dry really fast, and they're really hard to work with. So I wouldn't just get any glazing medium. But I've seen artists use matte medium too. The thing with matte medium is that it can dull the colors just slightly, but it also will work, and then you could always glaze it after the fact with, or not glaze it, but varnish it, after the fact with a satin varnish or something to give it a little bit more sheen. Okay, so just bringing that yellow up behind my sun, and then I'm going to wipe that out and get my white really thick on my brush, just on the corner there, but a fairly good amount of it. And I just want to pick out where my sun's going to go. It's just going to go just above that horizon line there. I'm just going to pop that in, wipe my brush out, and pull the edges out just a little bit. So I'm just tapping the edges out just slightly to fuzz them out, and that's it. See, those clouds kind of interrupt the sun, so you're not seeing like this perfect circle. So don't feel like you have to get it just like a little ball in the sky. That's going to be good enough. We might do it again. We'll see. But I think I'm happy with that. I mean, my clouds are they're not quite exactly where I want them to be, but they're close. I'm going to get a little bit more of the darker blue here, and just up in here I'm going to make these darker because there's kind of a dark tone to these areas. And I'm going to get some glaze, and what that'll do is put them on thin, so it'll still show the texture of the clouds underneath, but it'll just darken up what we have there. So go ahead and put that on, put in a little color, grab my glazing medium or water, either one, and then push that paint around a little bit and just push around that darkened color. Wipe my brush off. There's a lot of it right here. Or I can use my paper towel too and just dab it. See how that'll like lift off just the extra color and just leave back kind of the tint. There we go. All right, that's good. Good. All right. So let's go ahead and continue on the water. I'm going to get some of the purple and blue. And I want my value to be almost as dark as my palm tree. So it's going to be pretty dark and darker than my sky.
Then a question. Mm-hmm. Do you ever have a hard line of paint where the tape was? I'm guessing like a thick line.
No, I make sure that when I'm going over that paint that I'm going back and forth over it so that it's not super thick and globbed on. You don't want it to be goopy. No goops.
That's good advice for a lot of things in life.
Right. Okay. And then I'm just going to very lightly scratch in just some little shadows here and there. Back here, I want to keep them very thin and small. Barely touching it down. I'm keeping my brush sideways so that I have less of it in contact with the canvas at any given time. And I can do it this way as long as I've got my brush separated out. I can get, oops, see, you got a little too much there. I got it up in my sky again. I know, you'd think I don't know what I'm doing here. Sometimes. All right, so kind of across from where this is, it's going at kind of at an angle, at a diagonal. So I want to kind of continue that line that's coming up to our sunlight here. Same thing here. This one's kind of coming across there at an angle, kind of matching the angle of our water line. And then there's a dark shadow of waves kind of coming like this. So we can kind of just create this kind of angled wave, I don't know what, angled wave coming down like that. And the top of it is kind of wavy a little bit. Oops, sorry. I went off camera there.
Sorry. If they don't, or sorry, can they use a matte? Oh, I'm trying to find the question here. Can they use a matte gel medium instead of the glazing liquid?
No, because the gel mediums are going to be thick.
Okay.
So the whole idea behind the glazing medium is to thin out the viscosity of the paint, so it's thinner and easier to work with. So I'm talking getting it closer to water and not, not thick like a gel.
Okay.
So yeah, no.
So the gel medium has a whole other purpose in life.
Right. It's for thinning out your paint so that you can glaze in it so that it blends easier and your heavy body acrylics are easier to work with.
That's the glazing liquid.
Glazing liquid,
Right.
yes.
Yeah, no, I was, sorry, the gel thing has another
The
use in
gel
life.
thing is for like if you were to want to do, say, palette knife work and you wanted to do a large area with one color or something, then you could mix that gel color into your palette, with your palette knife into that color, and it saves that color because, some colors like cadmiums are really expensive and you don't want to use a ton of it in a palette knife painting. So if you use the gel medium, you can mix it like 50-50 and you can save yourself a lot of money because the gel mediums are a lot cheaper than your, heavy body acrylics would be. So just using the magenta now to go over the top, just over the top of this wave area here, and then just kind of add it up in above the waves that are up here too. And I just kind of went through and just sort of dry brushed some of that darker color here and there. You could go back in with a finer. I'm not going for ultra realism tonight, but if you wanted to, you could go back in with a thin liner and go back through and really like carefully line out some thin lines in your ocean back here too. So.
Okay, so you're using
Getting some of this pink here. Now, using the same color of the sky in our water. It's always what you want to do. So save some of that sky color so you can use it down in your water. So I'm using this pink that we used for our main clouds up in our sky for our water now. Well,
just clarify the brush that you're using again.
this is the 3/8 inch blender.
Okay, and what series is that?
VelvetTouch.
VelvetTouch. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. And Princeton is the manufacturer.
I think I'm caught up on the questions now.
Yeah.
I think they all ganged up at one time and just asked questions.
That's okay. I like it.
Yeah. We like to include you sometimes in the show.
In what you're chatting about over there?
Yeah.
You don't
yeah.
just chat about food?
There's a serious lack of food talk tonight, so I'm
Interesting.
very
We tried fish tacos. That didn't go over so well with my stomach. I literally almost threw up. I don't know why. It was bad. It was bad. Mark bought, and it was expensive fish too. Like Mark.
So I grew up in New Hampshire, and fresh seafood was readily available. So it was part of our diet growing up. Angela grew up in the desert.
Yeah.
And fish was like not existent.
No.
And so, I'm trying to find ways to introduce fish into our diet. Not all the time, but so I decided,
and it's healthier. I want to eat fish. It's not that I don't want to eat it.
Let's do fish tacos.
And I've had fish tacos before, and I like them. No. Oh my God. And the smell. Oh, I just want to hurl just thinking about it. It was bad. It was bad. I literally had to get them out of the house.
So my cooking ego took a huge shot that night.
Oh my gosh, it was so gross. I don't know what it was about them. I tried. I even made a really yummy mango salsa, which is pretty much what I ate for dinner.
Homemade corn tortillas.
Yeah, those were good.
The salsa, the fish was good. It was all good.
Just not together.
I ate it all.
And not with beans and rice either. It was not good.
Homemade Mexican rice. I tried a new recipe for that. So anyways.
Trust me.
Yeah.
Not good.
It was quite funny.
All right, so I'm using this yellow with the white and putting in this really bright highlights in my water here now. Right in the middle of where my sun areas are. Don't need a lot of them, and I probably just overdid it a little bit. We'll see. But I can always tone it down, so it's not set in stone. It's the nice thing about acrylics. You can always kind of fiddle with them, layer them. If you don't like it, it's not done. Just keep on working it. Okay. Now these are too thick up here. Like that. So I'm going to see if I can thin them out a little bit. Just by tapping over. Yeah, there we go. So kind of just thinned it out a little bit. I'm going to get a little bit of yellow and orange. And go over the side. I've switched to an angle brush. This is the 1/4 inch angle. Notice that I had a little spot right there that didn't cover. All right, I'm gonna get a little bit of the magenta with the orange. Let's go ahead and, I didn't use my Indian Yellow Hue, forgot. Let's use a little bit of that. Can probably leave it off because I don't think I needed it with the orange since I had the orange. If I didn't have the orange, I probably would have needed the yellowish orange or yellowish, orangish yellow. The Indian Yellow Hue is kind of an orangey yellow, so I would have needed it if I didn't have the or the Cadmium Orange out. But since I have it, it didn't really need the yellow, Indian Yellow much at all. Okay, so just kind of highlighting the tops of some of these waves here. Get some more of that yellow, just the yellow this time. Bring that yellow out, and then let's go ahead and use that yellow down here to highlight the surf that's right along the bottom of that wave. Yellow, kind of right in the middle, and then this orangish color going out from the sides, and there's another layer of surf here that I'm missing too, so I'm gonna have to go back in and add another dark shadow to this. So let's get a little bit of that purple and blue, and there's just below. So let's turning a little bit of green, so I'm going to have to get a little bit more blue here. Purple. There we go. Okay.
Let's silence your phone.
That was telling me I had a live stream at 7, which is weird.
Oh, interesting. You got a side hustle going on?
I don't know. I don't know why it did that. All right. Let me get, I don't like this cloud right here, so I'm just going to get a little bit of yellow and going to go over it a little bit. A little bit of yellow, a little bit of this orangey color. There we go. Bring out this orangey yellow a little bit farther out. This is the 1/4 inch blender, so it's a little bit smaller than the one we were using before in the sky. Just bringing that yellow out a little bit more. Softening up my shoreline. Let's get a little bit of pink and a little bit of the white. A little bit of magenta, I mean. Magenta and white. Which is pretty much the color of this cloud, the color that it's already dried up. So I had a little bit of the orange and yellow in there. It's that kind of bubblegum pink that we were using in the sky. So just using it down here in our surf. Between these two dark areas here. Just below that darker part, and then kind of in between that darker line and this darker line, there's like a little bits of this color peeking through, and then also up in here there's little bits of this color peeking through. So this water is a little bit dark just all together in this area, so just kind of trying to lighten it up some. This I am dry brushing, so I'm just kind of adding little bits of texture here and there to my water. Okay. Pretty good. This part I think needs to be a little higher, so I'm going to get a little bit more of the magenta and blue and bring that up just a little bit right there. That wave is starting to get big right there. And then let's go ahead and use it right along in here too. Actually, I'm going to go back to my angle brush because I can get a little bit finer line with it. I'm just going to Oop. Didn't want that yellow in there. Okay, coming at an angle. That's pretty good. We're getting there. And then the tops of these waves here are turned magenta right in here. So, and I need a little bit of white so that they show up. So right where that these dark parts come through the middle of that white, they turn kind of orangey magenta. Okay, I'm pretty happy with that. I'm using a little bit of this blue purple to blend out that line. So using that color of this dark wave here and just going above it with like a little bit of a highlight color. And then every now and then you'll see just a touch of it like in that wave itself and just below it. This brush will help us achieve that a little bit easier because it's thinner. So we can go through here and just kind of add some of these waves that are highlights that are kind of coming out of that wave right there. It's not a solid area. And then down here, this should be really bright yellow orange. Right here, I'm going to get some more of my orange. Add it in right here, kind of in the middle area. Orange with a little bit of white in it. Go ahead and bring it down there too. All right. This area looks a little funky to me, so I'm going to go ahead and use some of that color that I just got and just kind of blend over that just a little bit. Just soften up some of those transitions between the sunlight and the waves. Get some of the bright yellow. It's close enough. Let's get our palm tree in here. So to draw him, I decided to change up the drawing. The drawing has the palm tree coming out at an angle this way off, because it's one of those palm trees that kind of goes flat, but I wanted a palm tree that's more traditional. So I'm bringing him down right here like that off the canvas. And the top of him is going to be right here, almost even with the sun. And then part of the palm frond is going to go in front of the sun. And I cropped it over too a little bit, so might make it a little bit smaller. Might make it like that. I don't know, we'll see.
Man, you're kind of like Fiddler on the Roof there.
I am going to...
Tradition. You want me to keep singing?
A little bit of magenta and orange here. No.
Is that a hard no?
Hard no.
So you're saying there's a chance? I mean, don't make me walk up on you.
That's good. Brawling over tattoos.
Mm-hmm. What was the line? Every once in a while, you just got to punch each other.
Get it over with.
Is that what I said?
Yeah. Yeah. It's interesting. Sometimes I'm watching that show. I'm like, why am I watching this? It's so ridiculous. I like the art though, so it's worth the sitting through the drama.
For sure, the tattooing is definitely an art form and a talent and a skill, and
But the lifestyle, and they're definitely not progressive as far as women's rights go, in any way.
Yeah,
those poor women on the show.
Yeah, they're not kind of leading the charge on that front for sure.
No, not a lot of feminism going on.
But but some of the women are also perpetuating the problem too.
True, Dad. Yeah, calling each other the B word and saying you're crying like a girl. I'm like, I always hate that phrase, crying like a girl. I'm like, yeah.
That's because I am one.
Yeah, exactly. All right, just darkening up this sand area, and if you want to, you can kind of put some little footprints or little doodads in here to make it look like there's stuff happening in the sand. But I think that's good enough here. Use my finger and just kind of blend it out a little bit. And we use some of that pink in the water there too. Okay, that's good. I decided I needed to do that before I did my palm tree. All right, I'm going to get this is where the fluid black comes in. If you don't have fluid black, that's okay, but this will just make the line work go on a lot easier. And you could get fancy and do it, a little bit more. I'm going to move it over just a little bit. And just slightly thicker at the bottom, but palm trees are pretty uniform. Okay, so there's my first line. And then I'm going to get my angle brush here. Just wash off that chalk mark there. And where the palm tree gets thicker right here, just going to kind of come off the side. That's where everything is growing out from. And there's going to be my leaves coming out right there. Okay, so that's kind of where I want to start. And then I'm going to come up and over. I think I'm going to go ahead and just use my liner brush. It'll just be an easier thing. So using the liner brush. Now when you're using the liner brush, you for sure need your paint thinned out. And I'm going to come up and over, and I just want to have a smooth, that's still not thin enough because it broke up before I got to the end of the line. So your liner brush has to be long enough that it can do this whole line without stopping. You don't want to have to do part of the line and then start and do the next line. So these lines are all going to kind of come up from it. This one's going to come up and kind of curl back that way. And I'm going to go ahead and just do all of these now, and then that way I can do my palm fronds as I go. This one is going to curve this way. And there's one out here. I'll go down into the middle part. One right here. And then this is the one that's going to go in front of our sun. Right here. And then there's one that's going this way behind it down. So it's going the opposite way. The front of it is probably curved up and into that way, going away from us. So I'm going to use a little bit of my Indian Yellow Hue here. Actually, let's use a little bit of the orange. Just want a little bit of that sunlight color with my black so that it's not so dark on the tips. And I'm going to start along the line, and I'm just going to pull out a bazillion times. And make sure that they start on the edge of that middle part.
Somebody asked if they could use a fan brush to do this.
You could, yeah, whatever you're comfortable with. You could do that. The fan brush might speed things up. I would find the fan brush a little bit more difficult to do these fine lines. So, but yes, you could. I've done it with the fan brush before. So these ones were a little bit more detailed, you know, the lines were finer. So I just decided to go ahead and do it with the brush. I'm using burnt sienna for this one. That's going over the top of my water here. And just coming off at an angle. It's kind of a... It comes out towards the outside, and some of them curve, some of them don't. Some of them go straight. So the ones that kind of come down from the side, if they're folded over like this one is, like we're not seeing both sides of it, we're only seeing one side. I stuck my hand in the and I just wiped off my sand. Nice. Okay,
We'll just do that part off.
yeah,
We'll just keep that one off picture.
can we edit that part out of the
Yeah.
video?
Yeah, we'll just... Hey, real quick, which brush line is that liner brush?
Say what?
So that liner brush, which is it? VelvetTouch? Is it Aspen Series?
Yes, VelvetTouch number 1.
VelvetTouch number 1. Okay. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
You could just put like a coconut there.
Mm-hmm.
Or Wilson.
Problem is that paint is wet on the sand, and then I put over the thing, so nothing was dry there. That's why it lifted when I wiped off the black.
And she just totally ignored that comment. So
I'm trying to work. Do you want to go to bed at 8 or 9? I mean, or do you want to go to?
If I was like 4 years old, I'd be saying no.
Okay.
And screaming and kicking. But since I'm not 4,
okay.
I'm like, yes, please. Can I?
Please. Exactly. I'm kind of skipping just a slight bit around that sun, and I'm probably going to go back through with a little bit of yellow and add some yellow back in to that sunlight right there. So coming off the front end of that one, and I'm just going to and they don't all go in the same direction, so even though I'm doing these fan fronds all going this way, they're all gonna crisscross too a little bit. So, and then these ones are kind of breaking over. They're doing like this as they come around. And then we've got these ones. Some of them are going to be almost solid because you're seeing both sides. You're seeing the back side and the top side because it's hanging down, so you're seeing both folds right here. And these ones that are hanging straight, they're going to be a little bit thicker just because you're getting both sides of the palm frond. And I feel like this one's come out a little farther than I made it. Bring this one out too. Not always hitting it just on that line, but I'm not worried about it because I'm going to be going in the opposite direction. It'll hide any little flubs that I make. Just make that middle line a little bit thicker and covers everything up. And then the middle part of the tree here has got almost no sky showing through. So just go ahead and make sure that you've got this middle section really dark and covered with stuff happening. Keeping on going here. Yes, if you do it with the fan brush, you can kind of just set the fan brush along the edge here and it goes a little faster. The look is a little bit different. It doesn't look as detailed, I find, you know, it won't be quite as thin. Find a little bit harder to get the realistic detail in there. Let's go ahead and put one that's kind of coming down this way. That's probably bent over either behind or in front of these ones here, coming up and over. And this one. This one's got a lot of curve in it. I could go slower here probably and do a little bit better job of this, but get the idea.
Well, I think it's like other things too, that the more you think about it, the worse it gets.
True.
You
I find the
just,
faster that I kind of do these lines, the better they come out a lot of times.
they become more random and more realistic to the eye.
Right.
Not as planned out and pattern-y.
Right. I definitely think that I need to bring this out a little bit more on this side. Okay, try to kind of make it a little bit more even on this side. All right. The yellow and a little bit of glaze. I'm just going to push that yellow through the tree. Grab a little bit of that white, push that white through the tree. Go. All right.
So when exactly are we gonna expand beyond taking pictures of sunflowers in our backyard to palm trees on beaches and some exotic lands?
Yeah, I don't know. When we're not taking our lives into our own hands by doing it. Maybe. All right, just adding a little bit of orange to some of these highlighted area, just highlighting some of the palm fronds that are in this front area with a little bit of orange. Just to brighten them up, give them a little bit of a pop. All right, I think we're pretty good. I'm fairly happy with that. I think I'm going to go ahead and go back up into my clouds and put some of the colors that, some of those red orange color up here, and I'm just going to glaze it so I'll get the red, the orangey magenta mixture and get some glaze and just add a little, just like I did with that dark blue before. Just add a little bit of it here and there. Brighten up some of these areas. I could have spent another hour on this sky easily, so there's a lot more that you could bring out in there. Same with the water. Using that orange, you can put it down and then just use your towel to kind of move it around a little bit. All right. I think I want a little bit brighter right there. There's just that really bright highlight in the water's edge right there. Get a little bit of yellow in my white. Just do it right down from that. A few little sparkles on the water. All right, I think I'm going to call that good. Let's sign it and we'll be done. Super chat? What?
Oh yeah, we got some super chats.
Really?
We got duh.
Well, you guys?
Yeah. So our first super chat tonight was from Christy, and she had an emoji of looks like a controller that says rage quit. Thank you, Christy.
I hope she didn't mean for me to quit.
No, she didn't. And the second one was from Christina, and she said, "Missed you guys.
Oh,
Just wanted to tell you that you are amazing. Angela is so nice and funny while she paints and teaches, and Mark is Mark."
yeah.
LOL. Love.
Enough said.
Yep. So thank you to Christina and to Christy.
Thank you guys.
Yes.
It's
Thank
been one
you
of
very
those
much.
weeks. I don't know. Like, there's just some weeks where you're like, do people even like me? I know it's a hormonal thing. And it's like, but it still doesn't make you feel any better while you're going through it.
Mm-hmm.
Like you can tell your brain that it's like a passing thing and that it's okay. And, you'll feel better tomorrow. But yeah, just some weeks are just not as fun. So it helps a lot when you get kind comments. So we appreciate you guys that take the time to comment on our videos and on social media and give us a thumbs up on our videos and watch them and share them with friends. And, just it means the world to us. So I hope we let you guys know enough, how much we appreciate you. I don't get to comment back on every single thing that you post, but I do read all of them, and it's really cool. I just really appreciate it, and I wish I had time to reply back to everything anymore. It's a good and a bad thing, when you get to the point where you can't reply to everything. It goes against my instincts for sure, but I do appreciate you guys who comment. You guys are amazing, so thank you. And
thank you to the over 3,400 supporters over on Patreon.
Yes,
Your continued to support month after month is, as we say, amazing. We truly, truly are blown away by your love and support.
yeah, especially with things in the world the way they are. We weren't really sure how it was going to affect us, because we rely on viewer support, so
Viewers like you.
yeah, exactly. I'm just going through here with this bright white on my tip of my brush and just kind of lining these clouds just right in here. I just feel like it needed it, so I know this is just we've already signed it and we're at the end here. But
It's not unusual.
no, it's pretty much
Signing doesn't mean anything.
not for me.
No, especially doing it live for the first time.
Yeah, I see things as soon as I stop the video. Usually I'm like, I forgot to whatever, so I always like to take a step back and just like before I end it, just kind of look at it again and go, okay, yeah, I missed this or whatever. You see things, So while you're painting it, I would say, take a break frequently, step back, look at it with fresh eyes, and you'll see new things that you don't see. What? Okay.
You might want fuzzy there.
Yeah, it's been doing that. We need to get a new soundboard, I think. So.
Yep.
And yet another thing our patrons will be able to help us with.
Yes, it is nice, because of that. So when we need new equipment, we can
Dip
we
into.
can go out and get it.
Yep.
Invest in the business.
Yeah, one of the very first things we did when we first started the Patreon is get all new cameras, get a new computer. We were able to really update, and that's why we have side cam now and the palette cam and, you know, all these improvements to our video soundboard and new microphones and all that good stuff. It's all because of our patrons who support us. So, and Mark mentioned the video that we're going to be doing. We do once a month. We do a Patreon only exclusive video for them as a thank you, called our bonus video, and it's going to be a vase of sunflowers in a window. We'll be doing that, I guess, this Sunday.
Yes, this Sunday. That's the $5 level. At
the $5 level. And then the $10 level, we started on this. It doesn't look like much yet because we're still in the background of it, but I showed how to draw the kitty, and that's why he's got a box around his head. And we'll be painting him this month for our $10 level on Thursdays. So
you didn't go with my suggested edits, apparently.
No, Mark put his face in the kitty's head, but no, I'm not doing it that way. Sorry.
Whatever.
Although you do make a cute kitty cat.
Shh. I don't need any comments.
Actually, the book that I'm reading right now is about a kitty cat shapeshifter. So, wear leopard. You wear leopard in disguise? Is that what you're trying to tell me?
I think
Shout out to Jane Yellow Rock Books. They're awesome. Faith Hunter. Look them up if you like that kind of stuff. I do. I've been reading a lot of fantasy lately. I think I need to get out of real life.
At no time has Mark, well, maybe when I was like a small kid, but I don't ever remember dressing up as a kitty. So
okay. You're the one that put your face in the cat's head. I'm just saying.
Well, that's true.
It only just so happens that I'm reading about it right now. So just thought you were sending me messages. Okay, I'm going to stop there. On that note.
Sorry.
So disturbing. Thanks, guys, for hanging in with us today, and we hope you have a great week. We'll see you next time, and in a couple weeks, we're going to be starting on Saturdays again, so that'll be fun. All right, thanks for watching. Take care. Bye.